Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Calista. If you've never watched any of my videos, I say thank you for stumbling on this and watching. And if you have done that before, I say thank you and welcome back. So here's a quick introductory video about what this channel is just going to be all about. I intend making this video one that teaches or explains basic biological concepts, because many a times we have a lot of platforms, both the social media or just Google Chrome or any of the search engines, where we can get information about our confusions. But at times when we go there, we still get confused all the more, or we go there and say a lot of elaborated facts that we don't even know if we are more confused than we were before we had to search. The essence of this channel is to make so many confusing basic concepts in biology very, very simple and easy to understand. Okay. So welcome back to my channel. The essence, like I said earlier on, the essence of this channel is to make sure I teach basic biological topics ranging from cellular biology to ecological biology, ecological aspects, ecosystem, biomes. I won't teach but I will bring out some things I know that are always very confusing to mostly students, and sometimes teachers who might teach it but might not give it detail by detail the way students ought to understand. Before I go further, I wanted to give a thumbs up or subscribe if you've not done that. Thank you. Okay, so just like I said, topics ranging from cell ecology, biomes, the systems in the life of an organism, the different categories of system ranging from respiratory, reproductive, cellular, digestive, excretory, transport system, circulatory system, and think of all those systems that sometimes it gets so complex that we don't even understand what the systems are all about. Then I would also talk about some topics, yes, another very intricate aspect of biology that many students, especially those in examination classes like SS3 students or GSC students preparing for the exams, tend not to understand a lot, especially when it comes to protein synthesis, DNA replication, the stages of DNA replication and all that, and also the basic aspect before you get to DNA replication and all that, genetics, variation, hereditary. Yes, a lot of students get confused. I could remember one of my students, because I teach online biology lessons, and this girl, through a parent, I got her contact. Now she wanted to join, but she was not really sure if this was going to be a solution to her problems, because she was an SS3, and sometimes she basic things as in the SS1 level, she still doesn't get it right. Do you understand? She still doesn't get it right. So she came talking to me and she was like, I have a good teacher, but sometimes these facts or this concept or these terms are not explained to the extent that I can understand it. And I'm like, it's normal. It's normal not to get a good foundation. It's normal to have a shaky foundation upon which every other thing that is being built on top, it's like you're not understanding, and it's becoming more and more complex. So I told her that, okay, this is what we're going to do. What is actually, she told me that, okay, for example, she said when it comes to Mendel's first law and second law, we know that this law talks about the segregation of gene. That's the first law. And then the second law, the independent assortment of gene. Now, the first law, she was like, she has read it and they explained it, but she doesn't seem to understand. And I told her that, see, first thing you need to know that the first law talks about genes that are responsible for traits, and these traits in Mendel's first law is talking about just a particular trait, one trait. It could be skin color, eye color, the type of hair, whether it's a coily or straight hair, whether it's an attached or free earlobe, whether it's the type of fingernail, and so on and so forth. but it's about just one trait. But in Mendel's second law, it talks about two or more traits. Do you understand? And what does the first law state? Mendel's first law, also known as law of segregation of gene, states that during gamete formation, genes which are responsible for a trait are made up of two alleles, what we refer to as alleic pairs, and each of these alleles, just one, it is made up of two alleles, but one must be inherited into or passed on into this sex cell, or the sperm cell if it's a male, or the egg cell if it's a female, just one, such that no gamete has two alleles or an alleic pair. So that the father has one in the sperm and the mother has one in her egg, and during fertilization, these tend to what? Combine to make the genetic, or to form rather the genetic makeup of that zygote, which will later after 8 weeks become a fetus, an embryo, and of course 9 months, you have a child, a baby. Do you understand? Then the second law, the law that talks about, we also refer to as the law of independent assortment of gene. Now, this law talks about two or more traits, and it tells us that in the inheritance pattern of traits, they don't depend on each other. Meaning, because the fact that I inherit a coiled hair from my mom does not mean I have to inherit her fair complexion or a blue eye, even if the blue eye is from my dad. Meaning that if I inherit this particular trait, it doesn't go in line or in pari passu with inheriting another trait. Meaning that traits are inherited independently, what we refer to as they are assorted, that genes are assorted independently of each other. And these genes are responsible for what's character, like I said earlier on. Now, in summary, what does this law state? First, this law states, that's the second law, that during assortment of genes, that a gene which is responsible for a trait which is made up of two alleles or an alleic pair, that each alleic pair will assort or be inherited independently to have a different pattern. For all the different traits, they have a different pattern to which these genes are what inherited. The gene for tallness has a different pattern of inheriting it that is not dependent on the gene for color, and the gene for color has a different pattern of inheriting that is not dependent on the traits for hair or any other traits. Do you understand? So this law states that in gamete formation, alleic pairs of different genes will be, the alleles for these genes will be inherited in a different pattern that is independent of another traits. Do you understand? So it simply tells you that we're talking about multiple traits, multiple characters in which a gene is responsible for. But the alleles that make up this gene will be inherited independently. And that is why in the first stage of meiosis, we talk about homologous chromosome lying side by side, crossing over occurring, and in the second stage where you have separation of the sister chromatids, that is another aspect. You understand? So that crossing over will bring about variations and differences in siblings that are of the same parents. But because the pattern is not, it doesn't have a streamlined pattern or a way that you say that you can say this is why it occurs. Therefore, it tends to have a different pattern of what inheritance for this trait as over another trait. So with this, I was able to explain, and she was like, oh, thank you, because this thing kept on. I gave her more and more instances, and after like the second trial lesson, she enrolled for the lesson. Now, believe me, I'm not coming or trying to advertise, but if I do, so be it. So I hope you would stick and you would stick to my videos, watch it often, get clarified, and like, subscribe, and see you in my next video. Thank you, and sorry for making this video so lengthy. It was supposed to be short. Thank you, and stay tuned. Bye.